What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. First video in the new shop. Today we're working back on the Cutlass, doing some brake work, trying to get these brakes replaced and bled and yada 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 yada, so I get this thing rolling down the street. So we go ahead and dive in, and this thing is drum brakes all the way around. I'm gonna keep it drum brakes. Most people convert to disc brakes in the front. This is just gonna be for me to cruise back and forth to work. You know, nothing crazy. Also, it's about $400 cheaper to redo the entire brake system, including lines, than it is to convert to disc brakes. And if I go to disc brakes, I have to use a 15-inch or bigger rim. This has the original 14-inch rally rims on it. I want to keep those, so we're just going back drum brakes. So, all right, so we're going to start on the front here, rip this hub apart. As you've never seen a front drum brake, we'll show you how it's the hub, just like any other taper bearing front end would be. So we're going to dive into that, tear that apart, throw some new goodies in there, pull the old line off and whatnot, and take you along with me. Let's dive on in. All right, so I got the wheel off. First thing I do, pull the dust cap off. Like I said, this is just like any other normal tapered bearing front end would be. Got in or out of bearing, seals, yada yada. It's just got a drum instead of a rotor. Right. If you look down in there, just like a regular hub would be, is your oil seal, your grease seal, and your inner bearing. And then up here, wow, those brakes are actually very good. It's got new hardware on it too. Someone must have done brakes on this not too recently before it was parked, which could be good for me, which means the backs might be good too. I don't have to change any brakes. All right, well, I got everything new. I got new bearings and grease seals and all that stuff. So I'm in here, I'm gonna go ahead and do bearings on it, because why not, while I'm here. I am gonna leave these brakes, I ain't gonna mess with those. Those are in very good shape. All right, well, that's good news for me. We'll go ahead and pop this out of the hub here, and we'll get to packing some wheel bearings and put it back together. All right, so got the front drums off and the wheels, bearings, and everything out. Looking at these brakes, they look good. They got plenty of shoe left on them. Everything's great. Wheel cylinders look like they've been replaced before. Unfortunately, on this driver's side, I don't know if you can see that, there's a big old crack. The shoe is separated right between the two rivets. And a little bit of corner broke off there, but not the huge deal, but that's the big deal. That side. So we're gonna go ahead and do some front shoes and all that good jazz. Just because if that thing comes off 2 miles down the road, I don't want to have to pull this car back down apart again. So we're gonna go ahead and rip that off and get some new shoes on here and some hardware. We'll show you how to do some drum brakes. All right, so drum brakes, not that complicated. They look more complicated than they are. Just basically, hard part is remembering where all the springs go. I like to take a picture of it, or take, you know, just take a good look at it, remember it. They're fairly similar throughout most of them, but you've got a bunch of springs that hold things on, and then you got these two keeper springs that hold it to the backing plate, and then your adjuster down here, and your little adjuster tensioner right there. Not that complicated. Get you a good set of drum brake tools. You should be good to go. We're gonna go ahead and see about ripping these things off. So while we're in here doing all the front brakes and stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and swap out these ball joints. Now, these original ball joints, which is what this is, either this is an original ball joint or this is a replacement control arm with an original ball joint. Because, I don't know if you can see, these are riveted to the upper control arms. There are 4 rivets on it, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can either grind them off or drill them out, or if you have a sharp chisel, use a chisel to pop them off. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can't get these bad boys off. Get some new ones in. The bottom ones are pressed in, like most ball joints are. So let's see if we can get these things off. Now remember, it's a coil spring. So if this thing comes off, well, obviously it's gonna come out the top, but take the net off, you're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna get hurt. So make sure to support and relieve the tension on the coil spring before you take that off. So let's see if we can't get this off. All right, now I'm gonna try with this chisel. I've always had good luck with chisels, trying to break these things free. So we're gonna see if we can't get rid of the head of these with this. Just like that. I honestly think these are easier than grinding them off because it's hard to get a grinder in there, not to mention you never know when you're going to lose a finger with a grinder. So we're going to go ahead, see if we can't get this nut loose, come off. We'll go ahead and support that. Keep the tension on the spring so it doesn't fling out. And then we will pop that one out and see about this lower one. So as per usual for my video segments, it's been 3 weeks since I worked on the car last, I believe. But I do have some good news, and that is, hey, we've got lights. Well, we've got 3 lights. We are working on the wiring. It's still a nightmare. By we, I mean my father-in-law, who's an electrician. But I've got enough light to actually be able to see here in the dark, which is the only free time I have to work on the car. So now I can get back out here and do some work. As parts show up, brake stuff, I got some pre-made brake lines, wheel bearings, brake shoes, all that good jazz. So we're gonna dive back into this brake system, knock it out for the ball joints and some tie rods in there while I'm under it, and see if we can get this thing driving around. So I got the top ball joint out. Once you get the rivets broke free, you just kind of pry it out. I've used the same chisel, just kind of get under it and pop it right out. The lower ball joint is pressed in there from the bottom up. So we're going to gently persuade it out of the control arm. Simple. Now I'll get the new one and use a ball joint press and pop that in. Bolt this in. I still got to get little tabs of these out. I just take a punch and pop them right out, and then we will get the new one. The upper ball joint's in. Well, it's simple. Just push it through, bolt it in. No big deal. Lower ball joint, pressing style, kind of annoying sometimes, but got a ball joint press. Ta-da. And we are going to just shove her in here real good, like. All right, simple enough. Ball joint, ball joint. This little one, had to take the boot off because the boot wouldn't fit through the hole. No big deal, it pops right off. It's got this little ringlet here that it's kind of like a keychain. It just snips on there around the boot. It's in this little hole. Then I put these are greasable, so I got a grease fit in there. I'll pump them up with some grease. All right, so we got the brakes on, ball joints, new brake line. I'm gonna go ahead, I got new wheel bearings for it. We're gonna pack some new wheel bearings, throw them in the tub, and we can put this wheel back together. Alrighty, just like that. One wheel done. I got to adjust the brakes, adjust them out some. We'll do that before. We'll do that when I bleed them. Let's hop to the other side and rinse and repeat. So we got the brakes done on both sides of it. I got new wheel cylinders and all new brake shoes and all that good stuff, new bearings. We're gonna replace the hard lines up front, just on the front side. The back lines are perfectly fine. I don't know what it is about this car. He sat in the garage 15 years, but it sat on Isle of Palms, which in South Carolina is the beach. So it's got rust in weird areas. The brake lines, the front ones are pretty much gone. They're all rusted out. These are the old versus the new. The only one, no, actually none of them have both fittings on them, that's right. At least one fitting is broken off each one of them. They're all rusty. Someone had painted the front ones, but it didn't really work because you can see it's rusting beneath them. So I got these. These are pre-made lines from inline tube. I'll go ahead and stick those up front. They go from the master cylinder to the pressure differential valve, what they call it for a drum brake car, because it doesn't actually change any pressures, but and then it goes from there to each wheel. So I'm gonna go ahead, I got the old ones broke out. I had to break most of them off to get them out. We're gonna go ahead and throw them back in. See if we can't bleed these brakes. We're gonna finally drive this thing. Okay, I'm gonna crack the bleeders. We're gonna let it sit and see what happens. Well, that didn't take long. Go ahead and close this one. So we'll close this one for now, because the passenger side isn't dripping just yet. It did suck a lot of fluid down. So when you're bleeding brakes, you always want to start with the side furthest away from the master cylinder. So let's let that sit until it starts to suck some fluid down. Nothing yet. Well, that didn't take too long. Alrighty, we got a good steady stream here. Go ahead and tighten this up. I'll go back to the driver's side and crack that bleeder one more time to make sure we got a good stream there. And give it a little bit of adjustment on that adjuster wheel and we should be good. Well, our test drive went well. One thing I gotta do before we take this thing down the street is flush the cooling system. I filled it up with hose water just to fill it up, and it immediately turned rust brown. So I got a brand new thermostat and a new heater valve for the one that broke. So we're gonna go ahead and flush the cooling system. I don't have a bucket big enough to catch all of it, so I'm doing it out here because I know it's gonna spill everywhere. So we're gonna do that, throw a thermostat in it and a heater valve on it, and then take it down the road. I don't know if you can see nasty stuff down in there, so oh yeah, it's gross. All right, so I don't know if you can see it. Thermostat housing right there. It's got this little crossover pipe that goes down to the water pump, so I'm gonna unhook this hose, and this is 2 bolts. And so yeah, I'd say it's probably a good thing we're changing that. So that's the kind of water that was in there, so you can see why I'm wanting to flush this thing. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to run some water, flush it through there and through the top radiator hose just to kind of clean out whatever else I can while we're in here before we worry about putting the new thermostat and stuff in. See why this is necessary. tell, test drive went well. In a strange turn of events, this car is sold. I listed it for sale right after I got the brakes bled and everything. And day and a half later, guy said he wanted it. I'm actually towing this thing down to Savannah, Georgia tomorrow. Kind of sad to see it go, but at the same time, it's gonna be a good thing because poor Trans Am's gonna get a lot of love that she needs, and we're gonna try to see if I can't finish that project. So that's coming back good, and gonna be buying a lift with the money from this as well. So good things are happening. It's going to a good home. Guy wants it. He wants to. Said he had one back in the day, and this was made the same year he was born. So he said it was speaking to him. So hopefully he'll treat it right and get it on the road. Yeah. So that's gonna be a wrap for the Cutlass Revival, I guess. little abrupt ending, but hey, it's gonna get some more projects down the road. Now the garage is up and running. We're gonna get a lift for it so we can get a lot of projects up and on the road. So thank y'all for watching, for tuning in for this. It isn't the way I expected it in, but I guess I'm not too upset about it. So thanks for watching. As always, hit us with a like and subscribe, and we will see y'all in the next video.